We're not doing the sort of rap that promotes drugs or violence or half-naked women. That was never something we did.
Doing that stuff, running away from police and stuff, it just got a bit too much.
There was so much talent up and down the UK. We tried to cover as much of that as possible, even all the way up to Scotland.
These guys that were reviewing, what were their credentials for becoming reviewers?
It was quite a toxic place. As I said, you could put your latest lyrics in there and go, what do you think? People go, shit, fuck off. And then, you know, they didn't, you know, it just wasn't a great place to be after a while, those forums.
I love them, but yeah, they're a bit crazy, right?
Not promoting to their fan base, not trying to help us push the event forward, showing up, doing the set, getting the money, leaving.
Every so often, someone comes along who makes a big difference, helping others grow with the work they do. Their role is that of the guy in the background, making things happen, selflessly pushing others to the forefront. Before we begin, ask your mom if it's okay to subscribe to the channel. If she says yes, click the bell to receive the notifications, but only if you have nothing better to do. Don't like or comment, because it would mean you having to sign in, which is way too much hassle, and I wouldn't want to burden you with all that nonsense. Anyway, on today's Sofa Chat, we're going to be talking UKHH.com, Hoochinoo Live, and Videography, among other things. And we have two guys here who are integral figures in all of those, who tirelessly push buttons not many would have the drive to. So, guys, whenever you're ready, please start by introducing yourselves.
Thanks, Blade. Thanks for having us on 521. It's an honour to be here. So I'm Theo, better known as Hoochinoo, promoter, event coordinator. I am a content creator and editor for UKHH.com and a deal maker for Receptor Records.
Yeah, and I'm Dylan, aka Dfacer. Thanks again for having us on the show. So one of the many faces behind UKHH.com over the past decade, co-creator of Rappertag UK and subscriber to 0521 YouTube channel.
First of all, guys, thank you very much for being here. Like, I've been trying to organize this for a long time, and just live lockdowns and all kinds of stuff just avoided that happening. And for me, the reason why I wanted to get you in here is because you guys, like I said, have been such an integral part of what's been going on in the scene, working tirelessly in the background to bring attention to people that deserve attention. So where did this all start? I mean, first of all, do you want to tell us where you come from and how you got involved in UKHH?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in South Africa, kind of always involved with hip-hop through graffiti. I remember kind of my first intro to the UK scene was a friend's brother came over and he had a couple of CDs. I think it was Return of the Drifter, a Low Life compilation, and also graffiti, kind of some graffiti tracks, so Task Force, that kind of thing. I later moved to Australia, again, just kind of, involved with hip-hop, with graffiti scene, going to live shows and that kind of thing. Then moved over to UK and met Theo, and that's kind of how we started.
What about you, Theo?
So in terms of the beginnings of UKHH.com, I'd like to give you a little bit of history about how that all started.
Go ahead, that's what you're here for.
So it's officially sort of 24 years old. It started in 99, and at the very beginning, it was a combination of two web pages, because it was the beginning of the internet, two hip-hop related web pages run by someone called Martin Flat 4 and Aussie BSC. And there was a mailing list chat thing, as it's been described, called UK Scene, SEEN. And those two things were combined, or they decided to combine those that content, interviews, reviews, under ukhiphop.com. That was a domain bought by someone called Dan, apparently, in 2000, and it was a combination of all of that content. And unfortunately, at some point, the ukhiphop.com website domain was dropped. It was lost. So it was at that point that someone called Martin Spoon, which a lot of people know, he registered ukhh.com, moved all of the content onto it, and that's when Smiffy got involved. He was the general manager, and Spoon handled all the web duties and things like that. And it was a community-led site, people doing interviews and reviews and content, and they kicked that off back then in sort of 2000, or 99, 2000, with a low-life collective interview that was apparently conducted on the roof of Brain Tax's studio at the time. So that's how it started. And Smiffy and Spoon were running it from then. There's a little bit more history. I don't know if I could...
Yeah, go into it.
So obviously they were running it from then. People were contributing to the site. And then Ghost, who is better known as Music for Heads, he took it over in about 2011. And he was running that out of New Zealand. But I think he found it difficult not having feet on the ground in the UK. And then it was at that time, sort of 2012 time, that myself and Dylan took over the site.
Why did Ghost take over, and why did Martin and Smiffy just kind of leave it?
So I think it was, and again, we talk about life getting in the way. So I think at some point it became difficult for Smiffy and Spoon to continue. Although Spoon, he does dip in out, same as Smiffy, they'll come back to us and say, oh, we want to review something, or we want to, get involved. So occasionally, they're still there in the background. But for Ghost, I think it wasn't sustainable running it out of New Zealand. And so it passed over to us. And there was a lot of contributors at the time. People like Hercules and Mark 563, some people may remember, who's doing a lot of the artworks at that time. And then Smiffy oversaw a lot of mix CDs that they'd made. Control Alt the Beat was one of them, and various other sort of computer-related puns. Loads of UK hip-hop artists put on there. Smiffy oversaw that. And that was mixed by K Delight, White Fang, Bluefoot, Lingo, or Mr. Lingo. And at that point, they were also doing live music events. And it was at that point that they approached Hoochinoo, and we combined and started doing a couple of live music events together. I think at the time there was stuff going on in Herbal and in East London and Vibe Bar. And that is how we got more connected. And then after Ghost wasn't able to continue running that site, although he's still involved to a certain degree, we're all still involved in it. But that's when me and Dylan took over in about 2012. So that's a very brief, I don't know if it was brief, but a brief overview of the beginnings of UKHH.com.
And Spoon, I mean, you got to take your hats off to the guy, because the level of work that he put in, and also just his integrity with everything, was really deep. Did you have that experience with him directly? Is that kind of what interested you in wanting to take over, because you've seen that he'd set the pace and it was a challenge for you? Or was it just like, yo, I love what I do, I'm in this?
He'd done a very good job in handling the web duties and Smiffy overseeing the whole thing, and he's still involved. We had issues with the website, because a lot of this stuff was self-taught, and things would happen, and Spoon would jump in and help us. Talk a little bit about the hack that happened to us.
Yeah, so we got hacked kind of a number of times on the website. None of us have experience kind of building websites, managing websites, that kind of thing. So I think the first time it was just kind of spam comments, and it was like, buy cheap Ugg boots. But we're getting like...
I remember one of those.
We had like 300 or 400 comments on every post, and it was just like, Ugg boots, Australia, this, that. And I can't remember how we managed to sort that. But then a few years later, there was a bit of a more serious one where people built like an online pharmacy, and they were selling like all sorts of knockoff drugs, like in backdoors through the website.
And you didn't cash in on it?
Nah, we didn't take no commission or nothing. But yeah, we're getting takedown requests from like big pharmaceutical companies going, you're selling knockoff drugs on that. So
on a serious note, did at any point you kind of think, maybe I can get in touch with these guys because medication is where the money's at, and fuck UK hip hop, HH, and let's just sell drugs?
You tell me what makes more money, Big Pharma or UK hip hop? So
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
But Spoon he helped us sort out those sort of situations. So if we need him, he's there even now. So yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant to know, because I always had respect for the guy for everything he was doing. I spoke to him on numerous occasions as well, so yeah, I know what he was about. So yeah, that's a guy that basically is one of those unsung heroes that put a lot of effort into something, and is someone that really needs his flowers, as people say these days. But also on top of that, I mean, when you think about when he did what he did, or when UKHH.com did what they did, there was no one else doing what they were doing. They built a platform for artists to come in. I remember it like, it wasn't like a video platform or anything like that at the time. and there was the forum where everyone used to just write their lyrics, and I was trying to get my head around, how do you tell someone is a dope rapper by reading their lyrics? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. It was the early days of the internet. This is 99. So this is a long time ago. And there were sort of battle... And sorry, I didn't mention the forum. Obviously, the forum was a focal point for the online community. This was a big thing. Back then, you had all the different areas where people would put the lyrics, and I think there was battle pages back and forths and things like that. But there was no audio, no visuals. Towards the end of their run, there was a few little videos coming through, but it wasn't until me and Dylan took over the site that you started to get actual video content, exclusive video content filmed by Dylan. So it was a difficult time. Around, at the beginnings of the internet to put anything like that together. But they did it, they achieved it. And, The Guardian had commented on it being one of the main kind of hip hop resources and things like this. So they got a lot of attention at that time.
And don't forget, there was quite a lot of artists that are now about that used to be on the forum, and then there was people that were established to a level like myself who was in the forum chatting to the fans. It was a way where you could communicate with the fans and show them that you appreciated them, and some of the people appreciated you back and whatever. However, I have to say, I did feel a lot of hate from that forum as well.
Yeah, this is all before kind of social media and everything as well, so it was that one kind of place. But yeah, it could be quite toxic, I think, at times with some of the people there, some of the comments.
Yeah. And I have to say, at that point, I'm going to mention a couple of names, Nikesh and Sumo. What was your problems? Flipping hell.
Yeah, I think Nikesh went on to write a book or something.
Yeah, good luck to him, man.
He was around a little bit, but there was a lot of... people loved it or they hated it. Yeah. And it was quite toxic. You could go in there and say, what do you think of my latest lyric? And they go, fuck off, straight away. So it wasn't always well received. So I was part of the forum for a long time. Yeah. And that's how I got introduced to Spoon and Smiffy.
So was there any policing to, because, it becoming toxic, which it was.
Yeah, as much as you can. Like Spoon, I think was an administrator, so was Smiffy. So I think they would police it as much as you can. There's hundreds of pages, loads of stuff going on. So it would be, I think they would potentially try and shut something down if it was getting out of control, but it's difficult to police that sort of thing.
Let's just talk about that for a second, because there was people on the forum, not on the forum, on the website, there was also reviews, which was kind of a new thing, because back in the days we had the reviews in magazines and stuff like that, and then you took it and put it onto the website. But these guys that were reviewing, what were their credentials for becoming reviewers?
I think they had to have a love of hip hop. They would have to be able to write good content, because it's not, you can't just go on and say, yeah, I love this album. You have to be a good writer to a certain degree.
But were they experienced in knowing how to separate their own feelings from the bigger picture?
I think in some cases, yes, and in others, no. I think it depends on the writer. And the turnover was high. People would come and go. People might come in, do a couple of reviews, disappear, and on to the next. As we said, it's a community-run site, so people would come and go. The turnover was high.
So there was some level of sort of policing before people got the jobs?
Yeah, I mean, we'd see an example of the writing, and then we'd let them do a review, and we'd green light it, because anyone creating content, it would come to us to publish. So we'd have to green light it.
And you guys took over in 2011.
Yeah, 2011, 12, yeah.
Okay, so do you want to explain the process? I mean, you've explained a little bit, but can you go more in depth with the whole process of why you took over and how your involvement has led to where you are now?
Yeah, so at the time in 2012, we were familiar to Spoon and Smiffy, because we started to do events together, live music events. So we do UKHH.com and Hoochinoo live music events. So we got familiar with each other doing those shows. And they approached us, and I think we had started Rappertag. I want to come back to that in a bit. But we had started Rappertag, which had also been quite a popular series of videos. So I don't know what the decision was, but Smiffy and Spoon approached us and said, would you take over the site? Because they thought that we were qualified, and they'd worked with us on a personal level doing the shows, and they wanted us to take over the site. And I remember saying to Dylan, I sort of said, "Oh, do you want to take over the site? It's going to be a lot of work." And Dylan was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And I said, "All right, let's do it."
Yeah, I think at the time as well, as you said, we're doing Rappertag UK, so we're kind of going up and down the country. We were meeting all these artists, covering it all, so it just kind of made sense to tie it all in together.
How was that funded? Because traveling up and down the country is not a cheap duty, is it?
Yeah, that was all self-funded, so that was all off our own backs.
How many other people are involved in the equation right now? So there's you two. Is there anyone else doing anything else?
Yeah, so Kieran is another guy who runs the site. He couldn't be here today, but he's kind of integral. There's a number of kind of writers, videographers, photographers that get involved, and yeah, it's still kind of community run. There is a bunch of people that kind of contribute as and when. One of our writers, Sol, he does quite a lot of pieces at the moment. So he just interviewed Flip Tricks recently, Ono Capono, so he's quite active. But yeah, it's a kind of a wide team that get involved as and when they can.
And how does it feel making the transition from South Africa, Australia to the UK for you personally?
I don't know, it just kind of seemed natural. I mean, Australia, I just went for a couple of years, got kicked out of the country for overstaying my visa, so went back to South Africa, and UK just seemed kind of the next step. I was already kind of in love with the music. I had a bunch of friends here and that kind of stuff, so...
And you haven't been kicked out of the UK, obviously?
Not yet, no.
You're looking forward to the day when that happens?
I've got the passport, so I'm
Oh, okay,
good.
you're
Yeah,
all right. Anything else you want to add?
Well, the way that we met, so obviously Dylan introduced me to a lot of the music from South Africa and mainly Australia, stuff that I just wasn't aware of. So we had met just working in a job in Covent Garden, wasn't it? And we just sort of realised we're into the same sort of music. But because some of those artists are quite underground, you know, for someone to be into the same music is quite unlikely. So we obviously hit it off. We started doing the shows together, started doing Rappertag together, and then UKHH.com. So me and Dylan meeting was pivotal in where we went beyond there to be managing all of those properties, you know. So yeah, it was that was a big moment for both of us, I would say.
What about the costs for running the website? I mean, how did that affect your day-to-day living? And I just want to show people about what having a passion for something does to a person to keep them going. Do you get what I mean? Because what we were doing, or what the UK hip-hop scene was doing, wasn't about the money. It was about the art, you know? But at some point, it had to be about bringing money in and turning it into something where artists can keep making music because they got livings and all that. What keeps you going, knowing that you're just putting money in, traveling up and down the country, but you're still here, you're still doing this so many years later, still got the passion?
So with the website, I mean, we would occasionally get a bigger brand wanting to put on, wanting us to post some content. Had to be related to UK hip-hop in some way. Or the music in some way, and that would help fund some of the costs of domain name registration, servers, that kind of stuff. In terms of travelling up and down the country, sadly, that is all paid for by ourselves. And the thing that kept us going, because we wanted to know where the tag would take us. So for me, it was like a really interesting project to travel up and down the UK, filming rappers, and then saying, who are you going to tag in next? And then where are we going to go? And yeah, it comes back to doing it for the love. It wasn't bringing in a lot of money. It was paying for itself to a certain degree, but yeah, it wasn't going to make us rich anytime soon. Yeah.
Yeah, we do also have some merch for sale, which reminds me, bought you some.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Nicely done.
Appreciate that. You know what? I've seen this logo around for so many years. Do you want to tell me a little bit about the logo?
Yes. Yeah. So that was one of the things we changed.
Do you want to show it?
In 2012. So this is a logo that was designed for us by Graffiti Life. So these were a bunch of graffiti artists that created a business called Graffiti Life. They do big corporate pieces. You know, they've gone sort of on a professional level. They also do at the moment, I think the guy is called David, one of the main guys. He does neon type graffiti. You can check them out at Graffiti Life. But they designed it for us. And that was when we changed all of the branding. We brought in all of the video content, exclusive video content, and the whole look of the website. So we changed all of that when we took it over in 2012. Yeah.
With regards to the workload that goes into what you do, how many hours on a daily basis do you guys spend on a phone communicating to make this run smoothly?
Yeah, I mean, it depended on the amount of content coming in and the deadlines, because sometimes there's deadlines. We've got to turn this stuff around fairly quickly, or we got to call people, and we got to do our day jobs as well. So you just got to fit it, and families as well, families and work and girlfriends. So yeah, it's you got to fit in around there.
Yeah, I think it's a lot, especially doing video as well, editing videos, especially when there's release dates and you want to get a piece of promo up for that. So yeah, it takes up a lot of time, but again, it's just a kind of a passion of ours that we keep going with.
So have you ever considered dumping the girlfriends and being in a relationship together?
I think considering dumping the girlfriends, previous ones, not current one, but yeah, it's sometimes, because actually sometimes girlfriends haven't always seen our vision.
And has any of the girlfriends ever suggested, why are you here with me when you should be with him?
But I'll probably say yeah to that.
What about you?
Yeah, I've definitely heard that before. Like,
you have.
Why don't you marry Theo?
I'm saying it because I've been there, and it's one of those things, you know. As much as they're with you, they still don't get it.
A lot of our ex-partners have not understood the vision, all the music. So to be honest,
talking about the vision, do you think you've achieved what you set out to achieve, or is that journey still ongoing and there's still it's like it's never ending?
I like to think of us as the kind of or part of the infrastructure for the music in this country. You know, we help connect some of the dots, but it's ongoing. It's not like there's a goal and we're going to get there. It's just to push the music further and connect certain people together and do shows, and so it's ongoing.
What would be the biggest moment when you just thought, damn, we're getting there?
I think when Rappertag was at its peak. I think when we were doing 8 shows a year plus festivals, and you know the all of the stats on all the videos were high. So that was definitely a peak, all prior to pandemic. You know, things were going really well. So I think obviously we're just trying to get back to where we were before.
Yeah, it's definitely some milestone events, like the 20th birthday party that was big, just seeing, you know, over 20 years and bringing all these people together that have been involved. I know there were people that travelled down from various parts of the country, so it was a big milestone for us.
So who was at that event?
Like performing or?
Yeah, performing.
Yes, that was Chester P, My Stiggy,
Amazing.
King Cashmere, Cappo, Genesis
Cappo,
Elijah,
wow.
Tremendous. And then there was an open mic.
Yeah, with DJ 279 was doing it. Big up THTC who helped us put that event on. But talking about Cappo, just to say, he basically got in his car, drove down, got to the show, come in, got on stage, blew everyone away. Really nice guy. I said, "Oh, thanks for putting me on." Got in the car, drove home. He's just fire.
Listen, right, I have a little story with Cappo. So I was doing a show in Nottingham, and I remember standing outside talking to Cappo, and when we got onto the stage, I invited Cappo to come up on stage, and he came up on stage with another guy. Yeah, and I let Cappo do his verse, and the other guy took over, and I was already blown away by Cappo, right? And then the other guy took over, and I was like, fuck me. Oh, my God, right? Because it was like 2 young, hungry, amazingly talented MCs, and I ended up just going, when they came to give me the mic back, if I remember it correctly, because it's a long time ago, I remember, and this is when I was in the charts as well, so there was a lot going on, so there's a lot to remember. But I just remember sitting back down and just saying, well, you guys just carry on, I'm just going to watch you. And that other guy was Scorzayzee.
Yeah.
Unreal. Both of them. Like, can you imagine the genius behind those two?
Yeah, been friends since Atterville. Scorsese's in a film. Like, he's in a film, isn't he, called...
Yeah, I saw something about that, but and it was with a famous artist as well, but I forget who the artist is.
He was in an actual movie, wasn't he? But yeah, Atterville, been
Yeah,
friends with Scorsese.
Big Trev and all of them,
exactly,
like
Big Trev.
amazing.
Yeah.
But the Midlands, man, they had so much stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, you're
Lee
talking
Ramsey
about
and
Outerville,
all that.
Lee Ramsey.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, he was part of Outerville as
Yeah,
well, innit? So you had Lee Ramsey, you had Mr. 45.
Yeah, that's going back a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and obviously you had Joe Buddha, who was in the middle, like in the mix of all of that was going on. Then you had like people up in Birmingham, like Cypher Jules and
MSI and Asylum.
MSI and Asylum, yeah. Yeah, there was a lot. Like Khalif's, yeah. But I'm just trying to. What's the name of the group that Cypher was in? I know it, Moorish Delta.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Moorish
Yeah,
Delta.
yeah,
That's what I was trying to think. I mean, the talent that was there, it was ridiculous. So, did you see that talent through your website and through what you were doing, and just decide this is the kind of thing that we want to support, and we're going to stay on the path to support underground UK hip hop?
Yeah, and also to not be London-centric. We tried the most we could to make sure that it wasn't just about London rappers, because as you said, there was so much talent up and down the UK. We tried to cover as much of that as possible, even all the way up to Scotland. You know, we're trying to make a point of covering some of the Scottish guys and, you know, just trying to make sure that we were inclusive to everyone. It was difficult to not end up just being a London-centric site when you're based in London, but I feel we did that to a certain degree.
I believe you did. I mean, I was watching a lot. I mean, if I'm being honest, the only time that I switched off from your site was when I started feeling there was a toxicity going on. And I just thought, you know what, this is negative. Like, there's so many people. I guess that was one of the first times when I started seeing people being quite selfish. You know, people were just about, look at me, 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 me. But then that's what became social media, isn't it? Like,
that's true.
You know, but I guess you couldn't control all of that.
No. And I feel the forums, one of the reasons that the forums didn't come over to the new site, although things had changed, but it was quite a toxic place. As I said, you could put your latest lyrics in there and go, what do you think? People go, shit, fuck off. And then, you know, they didn't, you know, it just wasn't a great place to be after a while, those forums. So I think it's polarizing to some people, the fact that they disappeared, but as you said yourself, you know, at some point it was fairly toxic.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was one of the reasons why I walked away from the site. You know, It wasn't nothing to do with what you guys were doing. I think what you guys were doing, what Spoon was doing, incredible. The workload, and I got to find out about so many new artists through the reviews and stuff. So it was really, really positive. But like I said, you couldn't really control what people were doing in terms of the forum. And you're seeing quite a lot of that through social media now, like I said as well.
Yeah, it spilled over into social media anyway. Comments in YouTube and Facebook and
So do you think, like social media, like do you think Mark Zuckerberg and all these people saw what UKHH was doing and going and said, you know what? I love the negativity here. So we're going to turn social media into negativity and thrive on negativity.
I say it probably did inspire them, yeah.
Big claim, but
yeah.
We set the benchmark for sure.
What do you think was the point when Zuckerberg saw you and thought, right, this is where I want social media to go? Give me one example.
Probably in the battle forums. I mean, where people were just putting up bars and cussing the crap out of each other's mum. Probably something like that.
You said that there was a few struggles with the site and everything. Obviously, you talked about the hacking. Is there any other struggles there? I mean, it must have been, like, you know, obviously to run the site is going to cost money, it's going to cost time. So were there other struggles that, you know, basically we need to know about so people understand the depth of the work that you were doing?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we were not people that could build websites. So not only do we need to understand about domain names and if a site gets hacked, but also how do we put the content on? How do we link the videos? Like now it's a lot easier because you just drop in a YouTube clip and you can embed it in WordPress and things like that. But beyond that, but before that, it was HTML and stuff that we just didn't really, we're not experts in that. And not only that side of it, the web stuff, but Dylan, he had to figure out how to, because he bought himself a camera, started shooting videos, which is fine, but then you need to know how to edit it and cut it all up. And, you know, this was all self-taught stuff. So, yeah, that was part of it.
What did you feel like knowing that you had to be self-taught, you had to teach yourself? I mean, that must have been a heck of a journey.
Well, this is it. When we were offered to take over UKHH.com, I remember the first thing I thought was, it's going to be a lot of work. I looked at Dylan and I said, do you want to do it? And he goes, yeah, let's do it. So I said, let's do it. But I knew it was going to be a lot of weight to carry on our shoulders, along with just doing 9 to 5s and families and girlfriends and whatnot.
Do you regret the decision?
No, I don't actually. I don't. Some days it gets difficult, but I don't regret it.
So, you know, I'm going to be picking your brain on how to do things as well. Because I'm doing the same thing, and it is an incredible amount of work.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff you're doing here. I mean, you're doing a ton of stuff. So I can sympathise.
Do you want to talk about your graffiti days?
Yeah, I mean, kind of this was growing up, teenager in South Africa. I think the way I started, I just found somebody's tag and just started copying it, just putting it up everywhere. So no idea who it was, but I was just writing their name everywhere. Got a bit more into it.
So you were writing somebody else's name?
Yeah, I think
so. It was like when I was doing what was it, Nucleus Jam on it, and I was copying their lyrics and telling everyone I wrote that. You thief.
Exactly. And that's I'm talking like 13, 14 years old, and then kind of made my own name, started painting, just kind of always been surrounded by kind of creative people, artistic people, graffiti writers. Yeah, that's how I started and got involved in hip hop.
So why the name Dfacer? Because you were defacing all the walls and everything.
I mean, it's actually just my name, so Dfacer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it took a long time for me to put that together, longer than I'd like to admit.
Wow. I mean, that's crazy, because I've been sat here from the first time I saw your name. I thought, what a dope graffiti name, because you're defacing these walls and whatever. And, you know, that's his real name. My God. So why didn't you stay on the path of graffiti?
I think just kind of growing up and getting a bit more, doing that stuff, running away from police and stuff, it just got a bit too much.
Oh, come on, that was the fun part.
Yeah, that is the fun part, but, I'm in my 30s now, my legs don't work like they used to. So, yeah, I mean, I'm still involved to a certain degree, but just kind of more focused on video, that kind of thing now.
So, wait a minute, you're telling me you're in your 30s and your legs don't work the same?
That's when I was 18, yeah.
Yeah, but come on, bro. It's like my legs were working till about 2 weeks ago. What do? Sit down all the time working?
Pretty much editing videos. It's a long day.
Right, so that's a leg killer, really, isn't it? But yeah, with regards to your videography, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so again, that all started kind of when I met Theo, and I know we're going to get into Rappertag at some point.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Let's not forget.
So we kind of, I was sending him, because it started in Australia, and I sent him the clip, and he was like, oh, this is sick, we should start this year. And I said, well, I've got a camera. I think the first video I ever filmed was the Maestro Rappertag, and kind of, I didn't know which way to hold the camera or anything. And
Maestro is like a character that don't stand still, does he? So that's going to be hard work for you.
Yeah. So we did that, and then just kind of started learning, kind of, as this is when YouTube was taking off, so there's tutorials, that kind of stuff, and just taught myself over the past 10 years or so.
What cameras do you use?
So I use Sony at the moment.
So what videos have you done that, you want people to go and check because you're proud of the work that you've done?
I mean, I think one where you cameoed in that Culture,
yep.
The Sam Kratz, that was a dope tune. So yeah, the Sam Kratz tune had trying to remember who all was in it, but it was My Stiggy.
There was My Stiggy, there was Ramson Bad Bones, there was Phoenix the Icefire. Who was the other one? G-Bag. Yeah, G-Bag.
Yeah, so that was incredible. So as I said, kind of when I started listening to UK stuff, it was kind of Task Force, that kind of thing. So I did a video with Chester P, which 15 years later to do that was quite crazy.
Have you seen a more talented lyricist than Chester P on your travels?
Nah, I couldn't say I have.
Because the video that we did, he just said, we're going to go to Camden Town, and he put a gas mask on, and he's walking around the crowds and people are reacting to him. It was just a really unusual sort of video to film. But as a person and as a rapper, he's legend.
So how many videos have you done?
I don't know. It's upwards of 100, but yeah, I couldn't give you a kind of figure. But that's kind of, a lot of this is freestyle, live stuff. Music videos, kind of interviews.
So if you were to promote yourself on here now, looking at that camera, to sell yourself as a videographer that's offering your services, what would you say to people? I
mean, I'd say go check out ukhh.com. All the stuff's up there. But yeah, recently kind of been working with effects. So on Revogue Records, done a lot of stuff with them, like really proud of. So yeah, go check that out.
Did you shoot the Prospects video as well?
Yeah, the Prospects videos. So shot a bunch of stuff with them.
Yeah. What do you think of them?
Yeah, I love them, but yeah, they're a bit crazy, right? you had them in here. How were they?
You know what? We done an interview that we couldn't really put up because there was so much smoke in here that we couldn't see them. It was fun. I love them guys.
Yeah.
And I would love to get them back in. So I love their personality, but I think the next time we get them in, we're going to have to say no drinks and no smoke. Because, yeah, they do go off a little bit, don't they?
Yeah, good luck with that. Let me know how it goes. But yeah, all the kind of stuff from Scran, and yeah, like you said, I love those boys. Super talented. I think when we met them, they were kind of just 20 years old. I was just in awe at these kids just rapping, kind of, like just reminding me of early 90s stuff.
But their skills are ridiculous. So for you to have worked with them, it's like, I can imagine if they get their drinking and their smoking a bit under control, they can actually have that opportunity to blow. And then your video is going to be one of the first ones, or the first one. So if that happens, how would that make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I want every success for them, of course. Like, and I think some of the new stuff they're doing is great. So they're sending stuff over. So we actually put out the record on Scran Records. So I'll definitely continue to work with them, and yeah, hopefully they get there.
Like I said, I think they're amazing. I think they're really good guys, and I wish them every success. And like I said, if you guys are watching, I'd love to get you back in here. All right? So, yeah. Hoochinoo, what can you tell us about Hoochinoo?
So it started in 2003, initially as a platform for myself and my friends, who were all rappers at the time, known as the Ill Breed Coalition. And so we do a few small parties, started in WKD in Camden Town and expanded to kind of more well-known artists and then up-and-coming rappers and also some of the more alternative acts to perform at, and it went from there. So that was 2003, and then we went on to doing not just shows but festivals, and we tried to put an alternative spin on the music. So we'd have your UK hip hop artists, but then some artists that would be a little bit more alternative, people like Lazy Habits or Imperial Leisure or Dirtberg, full live bands with brass rappers, probably influenced by the likes of, Beastie Boys and things like that. And then we'd mix it all together. And that was Hoochinoo. It was almost like a cabaret style event that we did, inspired by people like Kung Fu and other promoters that were around at the time.
You had some struggles with venues and stuff at some point as well, because things started changing. Now it became more about festivals, and people were like waiting to get booked for festivals and stuff, and clubs were starting to shut down and all that kind of stuff. So can you tell us a little bit about all of that?
My experience is obviously as a London-based promoter, and clubs in London just started to close or fight to not get closed down, and they were failing. And half of the venues that we have done are just no longer in existence, whether that be Vibe Bar or Cargo or Madam Jojo's. They've all gone. Nambuka, that was on the Holloway Road, they're all gone. So I actually went up to see Vibe Bar in Brick Lane recently, and I went in there and it's just an office of people selling car insurance or something. They're time to get out, but that's what it is. But all the clubs we used to do are gone, or they're fighting to stay open. Rich Mix, I love Rich Mix as a venue in the Mile End, and Bethnal Green, and they had to fight to stay open, and I'm glad they did. But a lot of them didn't win those battles, and they're gone. So it was a constant sort of moving around, trying to find new venues, and sometimes the venues weren't good. You'd have to sort of go out on a limb and do some shows, and sometimes we had terrible sound, and things would not go well. So we had as many good nights as terrible nights due to sound or some other issues. So yeah.
And how did that affect your business?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we lost people over it. We had an event we did at the Blueberry Bar in Old Street, which we called Bluechinoo. It wasn't one of our better brandings, but we had an event there, and we'd gone there, and tested the sound, and it was fine. We had Freshers there and Minx. We had DJ 279. I think we had Pete Cannon there one time, and also what was that other DJ, French DJ? Do you remember? I can't remember what his name is. Anyway. The sound absolutely folded, and it was just, it was terrible. But then we did other shows there with Kaiser. We did the Kaiser launch party, and that was really good. But then, other times the sound would let it down, and the amount of times that's happened, and we're the ones running around in the background talking to engineers and trying to figure stuff out. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't.
And as promoters, you really want to focus on the promotion rather than hiring someone just to tell them what to do.
I mean, because as well as promoters, we were stage managers. I never got someone else to stage manage, or we always done it ourselves. But it just meant the whole event we're running around and making sure either the sound's okay or we're pushing people onto the stage, because obviously everyone always had a good time in the green room in the back, and it's like you do actually have to get out and rap at some point, that kind of stuff. So that's the promoter.
That's typical hip hop, though, isn't
typical
it?
hip-hop
It's like
stuff.
you're on at 10:15, 12:30. You guys, you need to get on.
You actually need to perform tonight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've seen that many times.
Yeah.
And events that are supposed to be closing at 1 a.m. are still going till 4 a.m. because people haven't performed.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. People trying to shut us down, and we're going over, and security trying to shut us down. And, some of our artists haven't performed yet. And we had that stuff happen at festivals where we had all the security, like 4 or 5 security at Boom Bap Hip Hop Festival trying to shut us down. We've got, what's it?
Is it Rhyme Asylum?
Rhyme Asylum about to go on. And I've got to tell them, mate, they're going to shut us down. They're literally going to cut the sound. And then, what's the main guy from Rhyme Asylum? Skirmish. He's all like, what? And I just remember him, he goes, right, let's do it. Smashed his bottle and he goes, for the hate. And they drop the track and he's just jumping in the crowd and rapping and, this kind of madness.
Yeah, Skirms is sick anyway.
Yeah, he's amazing. Yeah. He was at the Lab 79 thing we did.
Yeah. Was Possessed there as well?
No.
What a talent. Where's he gone?
I don't think he's part of that anymore.
What about competition?
With other promoters?
Yeah.
We have seen so many promoters come and go. We've seen promoters come, because everyone fancies being a promoter at least once. So they'll show up. The first show is always a success because all of their friends, all of their family come to the first one. Second one, less come. Third one, none of their friends and family come. So they're relying on footfall and promotion, and people don't come unless you put some actual work in to the promo. And it's normally at that point that we see people drop off. So we've seen 100 promoters come and go. But there's a few still around, like Spin Doctor and people like that doing big events, and 279 and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
While others have kind of walked away because they don't see things progressing further than where they are, what keeps you going?
I think there was a meme that we saw, and we always laugh about it because I can't remember who put it up, but it says, you can't be a promoter and expect this, and it's a picture of a packed out venue and everyone having a great time. You can't expect this without this. And then there's a picture of a completely empty club with like one person holding a pint watching a stage.
You could still have packed venues and still feel like you're not achieving what you want to achieve.
Depends on what the goal is, right? Because, I mean, having a packed venue and a successful night, I think there was occasions where we would do events and we'd walk away just about breaking even, not making money, but we'd be completely happy with the event. Like we did a show with Killer Keller and Mr. Thing and Yungun, Essa, and a bunch of other artists at Madame Jojo's. And Madame Jojo's was an old strip club in Soho on the Paul Raymond Revue, for anyone who knows what that is. And it's such a cool venue, and it was such an amazing night. But I'd say we sort of broke even on that.
Paul Raymond, wasn't that a magazine?
Yeah, it was like a
They used
whole...
a porn magazine.
Exactly, yeah.
Bloody...
So
do you know how I know that?
Anyone knows, then he knows.
No,
yeah.
do you know how I know that?
As you know.
Because AJ from Hard Noise used to work for Paul Raymond, and they done an interview with us.
In fact, another event we did, Bluechinoo again, we did a Halloween special, DJs only, no live performances. If you come dressed in fancy dress, you get a free zombie hemorrhage shot of alcohol, and that is the most money we ever made from people coming to an event that had DJs, no live PAs, and we made more money doing that. But that, for me, is not my favourite event because I wasn't... the DJs were fantastic, but there was no live music, there was no compere, no host. So it depends on what your goal is. If your goal is to make money, that would be your favourite event. If it was to the actual event itself, then it would be something like the Killer Keller, Yungun, Essa thing that we did. Yeah.
Two things that I want to say at this point. One of them is every time you mention Bluechinoo, you look embarrassed.
Yeah. Blueberry Bar, Hoochinoo. We need a name for this event.
Bluechinoo.
And that's that. Yeah. Sometimes we've had better names. like Happy Medium was the name of a Hoochinoo event we did where we combined soul, BBE records and hip hop artists. So yeah, we've had better names. And then obviously Hoochinoo Live. So yeah, we've had a lot of different branding, sub-brands of what we do.
When you had like, just a DJ performing, you were filling the clubs more. There was more happening, right? It was achieving your goals more, I guess. So have you ever thought about just doing a Hoochinoo club night and then bringing people in? Well,
this is the thing. So in London, it's very typical now. They want the promoter and the live music from 7 till 10:30. They want you cleared out and they want a club night.
You're talking Brixton Jam?
Among others.
Yeah.
But that's Jazz Cafe is the same.
Okay,
so there's a lot of venue. It might be the same up and down the UK. Obviously, we're a London-based promoter. That's what we see. So live music, 7 till 10:30, out, club night in, drinks, spend on the bar. That's what they want. They don't want some fantastic collection of hip-hop artists and beatboxers.
It's just a cattle farm, really. Just in and out, get out, whatever.
Exactly. So. It's you end up being a guest list bunny, that kind of thing. Yeah. So that's not what we want to do. And yeah, we could do. We occasionally, when we used to do Vibe Bar, which we did for 5-6 years, we would have a hip hop and dubstep at the time DJ after. So we'd have all the live music till about 1, and then we'd go hip hop and dubstep till like 2-3 in the morning or something, and that was good. But now it feels like they want to clear the hip hop stuff out and get the house on or something like that.
Which is where they make their money.
It's where they make the money.
No one in hip hop goes to the bar.
That's the problem, and it comes down to bar spend, and unfortunately, it's killing the live music culture in London. If for any venues that are still left.
But also, when you used to put on the events, you started a partnering scheme with the artists. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so we'd had a series of events where it just felt like artists were showing up. Well, they wouldn't show up for soundcheck either. So they weren't showing up for soundcheck, showing up 5 minutes before they had to go on, straight to the green room, and then jumping on stage, performing and leaving. Not promoting to their fan base, not trying to help us push the event forward, showing up, doing the set, getting the money, leaving. So then we decided we would put it to the headline artists to partner with us financially and promote it. And then if the event is a success, we will make some money. And that was quite successful. So we did, we worked with various artists in a partnership, and it paid off more than just booking artists and having them jump on the stage. So yeah, that was something that we implemented a couple of years back.
Are you still doing that?
Yeah.
And how's that working for you?
Yeah, great. We had one of the best shows we've done. I think you were there with Phoenix the Icefire,
Panacea.
Husky Brown, Panacea, Ramson Bad Bones. It was a really good event, and that was a partnership. And not only that, but we put out the physical release of Panacea on Receptor Records. So that was something we did. So we actually put the vinyl out. We did the show, partnered with Phoenix and Husky, and then we did Dylan filmed it, did a whole great promo video, and used all of that in the socials to push the event. It was a big success at Brixton Jam.
And you've obviously had the likes of Chester P, you've had Michael Parkinson, among others. What was the highlight for you?
Artist-wise?
Yeah.
I think Chester P has done a bunch of shows for us, Parkinson, Genesis Elijah.
Yeah,
because we've seen artist. Genesis Elijah, because we used to speak to him in the early days of his career, and then we've seen him develop all the way through to getting signed with V Records, drum and bass.
Yeah.
So when he did our last show, not the Panacea show, this was the last show we did with Chaos Crew, he got on and he was doing hip hop and he was doing drum and bass, and it was very alternative, and that's what we love at Hoochinoo. So that was definitely a highlight. Lewis Parker. We had Flip Tricks, Rodney P and Skits. I mean, the list goes on. And obviously we're fans of all of these guys. I grew up buying all of their records, so it was good to have these people on. People like Coasty, the Brighton lot.
Yeah, of course, come on, man.
Yeah. He just come out with the 360 Physicals comeback. So, I don't know, too many to mention. But I want to mention as well Peaches, who was our host.
Yeah, the host.
For forever.
Amazing
host. She's a performance on her own. Yeah. She is so funny. And
especially when she trips up and falls and stuff.
Yeah, she is amazing. So yeah.
But I love the way she just comes back from those little things walking up to the stage, falling off, and just making a complete joke of it. And
She's amazing.
Yeah,
She's in
what a
theatre
character.
as well now. She does theatre and all sorts.
Wicked.
So yeah, she glues the whole thing together,
Yeah.
and she's always my number one choice for host.
You mentioned Genesis Elijah, and obviously Genesis is like such an amazing talent, been going for so long, and you can still hear the hunger every time he performs. He does something. It's the hunger's always there. We all know the other talents, and we all know Genesis, but that's one guy where I've seen the progression constantly, and there's no stopping him. Do you know what I mean? I love that.
I think, was it last year or the year before, he dropped like a single every week or something?
Yeah, yeah.
It's just that work rate is,
Yeah,
incredible.
his work rate's nuts.
But also the live performance, because you could be a good rapper and you can put out good albums, but the live performance element is very important, and sometimes people can't deliver.
Translate.
Yeah, and Genesis is obviously someone who translates very well to live performance, same as Phoenix the Icefire and Husky Brown.
Yeah.
That was an amazing live performance, and then some people can't do it.
So what's next in terms of events?
Well, 50 years of hip hop. So taking it back 10 years, which I can't believe, Hoochinoo, I feel, were one of the only promoters to do the 40 years of hip hop anniversary. Not a lot of people did that, or people did it after the fact. We did it like on the day or either side of the actual anniversary of 40 years of hip hop. No one really did that, and I feel like we were the only one. So I said, right, we had agreed, we're going to do 50 years of hip hop. As soon as January come, bang, everyone's doing it. 50 years of hip hop parties everywhere. So we're still going to do it, but obviously we're going to be one of many to do that show. So as to which artist, that's a difficult one. We're talking about that. I mean, let's talk. We're going to
We'll talk.
So,
But where you had your performances, you said something about being questioned by someone about imagery.
with the Hoochinoo imagery.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is an interesting one because the word Hoochinoo relates to a Native American tribe in the gold rush days that discovered hooch or moonshine, firewater. And so we used that to brand the live music events, and we did use some of the kind of the Native American First Nation headdress and feathers and things like that. And this was around the MySpace days when that was big, and we were contacted by someone from the First Nation tribal councils to question why we were using Native American imagery on our music event. And I said, obviously, there's nothing. We're inspired by the First Nations and the imagery, the headdress and things like that. Nothing. We're not trying to do anything negative. This is all positive. We're not doing the sort of rap that promotes drugs or violence or half-naked women. That was never something we did. So I had that conversation, and at one point they were talking about introducing me to someone from one of the 56 tribal councils in Arizona. This is the true thing. And they had compared, or they had brought up the character of Chief Wahoo, which is the logo for the Cleveland Indians, which was a baseball team, and it's quite a derogatory image of a Native American First Nation person. And it eventually got dropped in 2014. They weren't allowed to use that anymore, and rightly so. But the First Nations organisation that were talking to us, I said we're nothing like Chief Wahoo. We're not trying to use or misappropriate someone else's culture or anything like that. But it was a whole thing. I was going to be talking to the tribal councils in Arizona, and I thought I'm just some guy from North London, So it was. Eventually they said it's fine.
When you two sit down and have conversations about things like this, can you just give us a quick demonstration of that conversation? You say what you need to. You say what. I just want to know what goes on.
I've been contacted by one of the 56 tribal councils of the Arizona Reserve. They want us to stop using the Hoochinoo logo.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So it wouldn't be like, you know what, fuck them. That's more my role.
That was before my time. When
No,
that
it was
happened.
before.
Oh,
It was
okay.
before its time.
Yeah.
But I suddenly thought is what we're doing wrong, and we did draw back a little bit on the Native American First Nation imagery. But we do occasionally use little feathers on clothes and things like that. And no one's contacted me since. And we're not trying to put any negative connotations on the First Nation people in the way that Chief Wahoo from the Cleveland Indian baseball team did. So, yeah, that's the thing.
If there was one sentence you could use to let everybody out there know what everything you do is, what would that sentence be? Like basically UKHH, Rappertag, everything.
Promoter, events coordinator, content creator, deal maker. It rhymed a little bit.
And what about your merchandise? Where can people get a hold of your merchandise?
So shop.ukhh.com. We've got tees. I think we had hats at some point. So yeah, we've got if you want to join the team, yeah, just buy some merch.
Wicked.
Thank you.
So let's move on to Rappertag.
What's that then?
Tell us about how it began. We know it was to do with Australia in the beginning. So do you want to tell us? Because obviously...
Yeah, so basically, as I said, kind of me and Theo met, we were working together, and we realized we had all these common interests, right? So at work, we're kind of emailing each other like, check this out, very productive work day. And then kind of I came across, I think it was Brad Strutt from Australia, his Rappertag. I sent him that, and he was like, we should do this here. And initially, we were just going to kind of set it up, tell people, yeah, you should do this, and we'll manage it. But then we decided, no, we're actually going to film this. As I said, I had a camera at the time, but no kind of experience or anything. So we decided to hit up Maestro, Maestiggy, to do the first one. Just seemed right. He had the Australia connection as well. And I think when we did, he said, I think it was Hilltop Hoods that said he should start this over here or something. So it's like it just kind of worked out like that. So yeah, we just kind of went and filmed the thing the wrong way, and Maestro's looking at me like this, and just kind of started from there, and then kicked on.
So was it you that instigated that move?
I think I showed Theo, and he was like, we should do this here, and yeah, it was kind of just together. We're like, well, why don't we go film it? Why don't we do everything? We don't have enough fun. Let's go up and down the country every other weekend. Okay,
so explain what Rappertag is, so like in clear, plain English, so everyone understands it, and also where they can find stuff.
Yeah, so basically it's just a collaborative thing, right? So at the time, I think it was, battle rap was huge, and it's everybody cussing each other. So with Rappertag, and again, we stole the idea from Australia. 360 started it. If somebody spits their verse, and then they'll tag in somebody that they want to see.
Stole, or did you get their blessing?
We did get their blessing, yeah.
So it's not stealing.
We didn't steal it. No, right. We got their blessing. And then once we film them, they'll tag somebody else in. We'll go and film them. They'll tag them in, and so on. I think we've done three seasons now. So the first one we did 40 videos, I think. The second two were a bit less. But yeah, it's all on ukhh.com, on the UKHH YouTube channel. There is an old Rappertag UK channel that's got the whole first season. But yeah, it's all ukhh.com, easiest place to find it.
And when was the first one aired?
So the first one, I think, was September 2011, about then. So yeah.
And that was Maestiggy?
Yeah.
When he was Maestro?
He was Maestro at the time, yeah.
What was the highlight for you?
I mean, there's been so many highlights. I think one, we went up and we filmed in one day. We filmed 3 videos. So it was kind of Cappo, we were speaking about earlier, Fallacy, and Con.
Yeah.
So a nice little trip up north, bit
all
up north.
Sick.
Yeah,
all
yeah.
Of them sick.
And yeah, just filmed that all in one day, and it was just that was kind of a highlight.
Was that when my car?
That was when your car broke down.
And we broke down on the way back, not because of mechanical failure, but because of.
You forgot to put petrol in.
It happens.
So we're on the motorway.
I was
we're
so
like,
happy about what we done, and then I was like, ran out of petrol. True story.
So how did you get back?
Well, we called the AA, I think, or some pickup or something. And we had a big speaker with us as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
We had it's completely pointless because you can just record the audio over it, but we had a big speaker like this with a handle that comes up, all wireless, that you can just drag along and just pump all the tunes out of it. And we put that in a car park somewhere, and Fallacy just fired off this Rappertag on it, and we just got it in one shot, and then he was like, done.
Wicked.
So I don't think he was ever going to be doing a second take of that. And I was like, did you film it? And he's like, yeah. That's only you can see it.
Do you want to give them the link where they can go and check it all out?
Yes, it's all on ukhh.com. I think if you just go to videos, search Rappertag, it's all there.
How much content have you got on there?
Yeah, I don't know. It's upwards of 100 if you include the initial Rappertag series, but yeah, I couldn't tell you kind of an exact number.
And it's important also to basically let people know that when you moved the content over, so when you took over the website, you brought in the video content. There wasn't any of that before.
Yeah, there was very little. I think there was a couple, because not a lot of rappers at that time had done music videos unless they were signed to major labels. So, you know, it wasn't like you just go and make your own video like you do now. So, yeah, there wasn't a lot of content at that time. There was definitely no exclusive content made by the channel. We done that. Well, Dylan, he's sure it.
In terms of views, what's the most viewed?
I think the Rappertag videos with Stig, Dabbler, and the number one viewed video, other than that kid, is
Sonny Jim.
Sonny Jim. Sonny Jim is the number one viewed Rappertag video. And then aside of that, which is like almost double, it's about 115,000 views, is that kid UKHH Bars video. That's the number one viewed video on the channel.
So do you know overall how many views you got on the channel at this point?
I think it's about 500,000 for Rappertag and about 800,000 for the UKHH content overall, something like that.
That's brilliant. So guys, we need to keep watching that, get it into the millions. Come on, man, we could do this.
Yeah, watch some more of those.
Anything else you want to say about Rappertag?
Yeah, I want to tell the Heron Tower story.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So basically, I don't know, I can't remember how long ago this was. It was a long time ago. But in Liverpool Street, near Liverpool Street, is Heron Tower. So some people may or may not know. It's this huge tower. It's all corporate type stuff. I think Sushi Samba is in there for anyone who's gone to that thing. And we got Yungun at the time, or Essa, and Devise to come with us to film a Rappertag video. So I was going out with a girl at the time who worked in that building. And so she got us access into the building. And we went to the very top of Heron Tower and filmed a Rappertag with Yungun and Devise. So within 24 hours of filming it, we were so happy. We were like, oh my God, that's one. You can see the Gherkin, you can see the whole of London. Within 24 hours, we had sparked a security incident at the Heron Tower. And we were told to take the video down, which we did for 24 hours. And then it went back up. We waited for the security incident to be resolved. And then the video went back up and it's still there now. And my girlfriend at the time was brought in to a big meeting with everyone who worked in the block. And they said, we would like to remind everyone that filming hip-hop videos at the top of Heron Tower is strictly prohibited. So she's like, you know, like that. So again, another example about how she didn't share our vision.
Did they know it was her that organised it?
Yeah, because you got to sign in. Oh. So I think in the end, it was the security guy that let us on the roof that grassed us up. And yeah, but the video's still there. I don't know for how much longer after this video goes out, but check it out.
That just defines hip-hop.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that is what hip-hop is. You got to break the rules, do things that normal people wouldn't do. And yes, normal people wouldn't do, because none of us hip-hoppers are normal.
It's true. But I'd say that was a standout story, because not only was that one of the best views, best videos, as in best views of London, because I don't think it was, I think it's about 10,000 views on that video, but it was just so much fun to do. And Yungun, or Essa, changed the way that we did Rappertag, because he instantly tagged Devise in. And you don't normally do that. You say, I'm going to tag someone somewhere else, and we go there and we film him. But he goes, I'm going to change the rules of Rappertag and I'm tagging in Devise right now.
Yeah, wicked.
So it's still up there, the video. Check it out.
Excellent. And on the subject of Essa, he's working on new material, so make sure you check that out. Like, my guy is just like extremely, extremely talented, always has been, and he's always happy-go-lucky, just getting on with what he needs to get on with. So if you want to support somebody, I mean, I'd say support everybody you can who you think is dope, but that's one guy you 10,000% need to support.
Dylan done the video for him and Farmer.
How was that?
Yeah, it was great. So we filmed at Pirate Studios in North London. So yeah, just I've known Essa for a while, obviously, with the Rappertag. He's done Hoochinoo a bunch of times, but I think it was my first time meeting Farmer. But yeah, proper, as I said, grew up listening to Task Force, so that was a good moment, man.
You're lucky to have done a video with him.
Got another one coming too as well.
Okay.
Keep that under wraps for now.
All right, cool. Well, I was going to ask you about it, but you've made it clear you don't want to talk, so screw you.
Can also come back to Rappertag. I just want to mention a couple of bits. In Australia, 360, who started that, everyone who did the Rappertag would film their own video. And
you're filming it.
Whereas we're filming it. So no one else was doing that. So that is why we go up and down the country. 360 wasn't doing it. It tagged someone else. They would go and film their own video and upload it on their time frame. And sometimes I'd be waiting months Sometimes it'll be waiting months for us. But anyway.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that beyond the Australian and UK Rappertag, suddenly we started to see the Rappertag phenomenon all over the world. So you'd have Latvian Rappertag, or Bulgarian Rappertag, or Arab Rappertag. So just all you got to do is put Rappertag in YouTube and you'll see it. So much content, so it became a kind of a global phenomenon. It's quite interesting.
So, yeah, guys, make sure you check out Rappertag because that's the kind of thing that we need to grow the scene, you know? It's like the togetherness. What about the record label? So you got Brain Scan and you got Receptor Records. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So Brain Scran, as I mentioned, Kieran, it's myself and him running the label. And again, it was kind of, we were living together for a number of years and we were working, we'd go out on missions, shooting videos. So working with people like Prospects and kind of Chi from Kent and these kind of people. And we just thought it was a good opportunity to work with these kind of hometown heroes. So, like Prospects in Portsmouth, they're massive, they're blowing up, and same with Chi in Folkestone. So that's where that came about, and yeah, just kind of building from there.
And Receptor?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. We got you some merch.
Oh, bro.
Receptor Record.
Yeah, I don't want it, man.
Just take it. Just take it. And the Mr. Signback, one of our back catalogue. So Mr. Signback is actually the label owner as well as producer and rapper.
Yeah, wicked.
And also, I know you're going to wear this because Sammy J loves this stuff too. So you can be twins, all right?
Yeah, wicked. Oh, thanks for throwing that at me. Really appreciate it. The disrespect shown, Jesus.
But yeah, Sammy rocks that, so you lot can be twins. The difference with Receptor Records and Brain Scran was that obviously Dylan and Kieran were working with sort of the newer artists, whereas Receptor was established in 2003. So this was a label that has been around for a long time, put out albums like The Raw Styles, Kashmir, and Combine Mentals, Fundamentals, and a bunch of other artists back in 2003. Had a big launch party at Dingwalls in Camden, Task Force, Jest, I think For Life Cypher might have been there. Big events. They did the Kentish Town Forum, where they brought over Juggernauts and Brooklyn Academy and had, a selection of UK hip-hop artists, big events. So 2003. And a good friend of ours who ran the label at the time, Tom Brown, he sadly passed away. He sadly took his own life in around, I think it's 2015, and we did a memorial event for him at Nambuka, Hoochinoo. And then basically the label itself and all of the intellectual property started to lapse, trademarks, all this kind of stuff. So Mr. Signback, the vinyl I just passed, he was obviously predominantly a producer and a rapper. He wanted to bring the label back. He's very close friends with Tom. He didn't want to kind of this to go away. So he paid for all the trademarks, renewed everything, brought it back, created the website, receptor-records.com, because the original domain name had dropped, receptor-records.com, got all the trademarks back and started to put out music, things like Panacea, Phoenix the Icefire and Husky Brown. People like Tom Ryan, also known as Doc Voodoo, Dark Side of the Moon. Teach 'em, female rapper from East London. And, started to do that afresh in about 2020. So vinyl releases, digital releases, and that's kind of the history of the label.
So how many records has the label put out?
It is about 3 gone out, rest is digital, and then there's more coming. So there is a Tom Ryan, also known as Doc Voodoo. Tom Ryan is putting out The Holy Armour, produced by Kashmir, I believe, and then another album produced by Ghost, which is coming out at some point as well. And I think we're going to have vinyl releases. And Teach 'em, the single 100, is coming out with Jay or Jamina, I think her name is. So, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff coming out. And then Combine Mentals, The Art of Raw is coming out, a 7-track album. Okay. So, there's some exciting stuff coming out. We try and do vinyl as much as we can. The whole pandemic thing caused the sort of delay in vinyls, and then Brexit caused us issue shifting units out into other parts of Europe. But anyway, we're still going to do it because we love vinyl. It's part of hip-hop.
Are you looking for talent to sign, or is it a case of you find them and you know that's the one? Do you want people to send you stuff? Or
Yeah, both. Like, we like to come across artists and we like them to contact us. Yeah.
Any final words?
No, just thank you for having us on. Shouts, camera guy. Thank you. It's been
No,
an
I
honor.
appreciate you coming down. What about you, Theo?
Yeah, no, thanks for having us. Really appreciate it. Thank you, camera guy. And just make sure you check out all of our content on ukhh.com.
So there you have it, guys. There's always been people pushing the scene forward, but we all know strength comes in numbers. So let's build those numbers and let's all do our bit to make a difference. Please make sure you follow Hoochinoo and Dfacer on their connection pages linked in the description below. But if you don't want to follow or subscribe 521, who cares? Have a great day.